First up is an important development related to this harassment of President Trump, where you may have government officials breaking the law to try to overthrow him. And I'll say it once, I've said it once, or I've said it many times, I should say. This is an effort to, through illicit means, this whole Russia-Gate collusion concoction is designed to overthrow the duly elected President of the United States. You heard me say it. This is not about finding out what the Russians did. This is not about enforcing the rule of law. This is about abusing the powers of government to target a president that that the left, in this case, and some never-Trumper Republicans don't like. They're abusing the powers of the government to try to turn him out of office contrary to law. The Justice Department's doing it, the FBI's doing it, the NSA had been involved, the State Department had been involved, the CIA had been involved, the Defense Department had been involved, and now, of course, Congress is full on board with, as I say, what Adam Schiff and the others are doing on the Hill. But some of that rule breaking involves illegal leaks. There have been repeated leaks of classified information to the media, dishonestly characterized, in my view, to try to overturn the election and undermine President Trump. So national security is second fiddle to the efforts to overthrow the president. So classified information is classified because the government has deemed it, and I'm not pretending that it always should be classified, but the government has the right to make this decision. This is what the law requires. Classified information is classified because the release of it would harm national security, put people's lives at risk. For instance, Time magazine had a big piece earlier this week detailing the presidential daily briefs, which are classified, very sensitive materials, and that was leaked. And of course, details about the president's reactions, which are designed to make the president seem foolish. So it's all just spin. But they were willing to break the law, and with the help of Time magazine, by the way. Journalists don't have the permission of the government to, or are they allowed to under law? They're never prosecuted, but they're breaking the law too when they, in theory, publish classified information knowingly. Dangerous, dangerous stuff going on. Other leaks are contrary to law and sometimes even false. And so what's going to be done? Now, supposedly there have been leak investigations that have taken place. For instance, a key staffer on the Senate side has allegedly been involved in leaks, and he was pursued by the Justice Department. But a lot of these leaks are still uninvestigated, or there's been no justice for them. If they're being investigated, certainly there's been no conclusion of those investigations. So what Judicial Watch is doing is trying to get some accountability. We obviously have Freedom of Information Act requests and lawsuits about these unauthorized leaks of classified information. But sometimes we are a bit more direct and demand investigations. And to that end, I signed today, on behalf of Judicial Watch, I was proud to, on behalf of Judicial Watch and all of our supporters, sign a complaint for investigation into potential violations of federal law and/or Department of Justice regulations with the Office of Inspector General. And the complaint focuses on two arguably illegal leaks. The first is a BuzzFeed story that is really, it's probably false. But again, it reflects that there's something going on at the Justice Department or maybe within the Mueller Special Counsel operation that needs investigation. There was this story on January 17th, 2018, and the first paragraph reads, President Donald Trump directed his longtime attorney, Michael Cohen, to lie to Congress about negotiations to build a Trump Tower at Moscow. And this is the emphasis. According to two federal law enforcement officials involved in an investigation in the matter. Now, it turns out that Robert Mueller, who hasn't really said publicly anything about all of these various stories out there, was forced to come out and say that's not true. and disavowed the information, disavowed the story, because, I mean, this suggests that the president authorized a crime to take place. So there was a mini impeachment crisis as this story was released. Of course, no one else was able to confirm it, and now it's been largely accepted as debunked, but BuzzFeed is standing by the fact these two federal law enforcement sources told them that. Now, you know, James Comey, as we note, authorized a leak investigation into Mayor Giuliani, who allegedly suggested that he had information about Hillary Clinton's investigation, federal agents. Frankly, I think the Comey investigation was bunked because I don't think Giuliani alleged what was that the investigators were on the inside. I think he was just talking about what he was hearing from outsiders. But similarly, there's got to be an equal application of the law here, and we need to get an investigation into this BuzzFeed leak. Because, again, this is internal, sensitive information that can't be leaked. And to do so is potentially a crime, especially if it might involve a grand jury information or other private materials protected by law. The second leak is really outrageous potentially, because you recall the abusive Roger Stone raid by the FBI and the Justice Department in Florida. Well, CNN had a heads up on that raid, it's been alleged. Now CNN says, and they were out there filming this early morning raid. Now CNN said it was their own intrepid reporting, they just kind of figured it out and they didn't get the leak. Well, I don't believe it. I don't believe it one bit. And so I don't trust CNN, we don't trust CNN. We don't think a raid like that CNN guessed about, so we believe there was a leak. And so as a result, we're asking for an investigation of the potential leak to CNN from the FBI or DOJ or someone else in a position to know of this sensitive law enforcement information. And specifically, information related to the pending arrest of a suspect would be considered limited official use information, LOU, which is governed by DOJ Regulation 2620.7. Limited official use information is unclassified information of a sensitive, proprietary, or personally private nature, which must be protected against release to unauthorized individuals, and this term is prescribed for use within the department to signify such information. Among these categories of information is information that could result in physical risks to the individuals. And obviously the close proximity, as we mentioned in this report or in our complaint, to civilians like the CNN journalists to the scene of an arrest that apparently required upwards of 24 heavily armed agents would seem to pose a physical risk to not only the individuals at CNN, but the agents and obviously the arrestee or people in the home. So that's why we've asked that we get the Inspector General commence an investigation. Heads of department organizations shall ensure that prompt and appropriate administrative action is taken against personnel responsible for disclosure of this information. So we want something done quickly. Now, believe you me, we are not going to rely on the Inspector General of the Justice Department, who's been notorious for sitting on information, characterizing facts and circumstances in a way to protect the Justice Department from full scrutiny and accountability. We are not going to rely on that Inspector General to do this investigation. We're going to demand that he do his job, but we have separate Freedom of Information Act requests into these alleged leaks, and if we don't get responses as required by law, you can be sure that we will think strongly about it. I never guarantee a lawsuit. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm smart enough to know that I can't promise a lawsuit until it's actually filed. And there's never a lawsuit that Judicial, I can predict a lawsuit that will be filed by Judicial Watch. I'm always hesitant to do that because you never know what's going to happen legally between now and the potential lawsuit being filed. So believe you me, though, if we don't get the information, this will be high on the list for potential litigation. So we've got the Freedom of Information Act investigation into these illegal leaks trying to destroy Donald Trump, and in the case of Roger Stone, who is just another way to get at President Trump, hence CNN being out there. So big deal. Matt Whitaker, the acting Attorney General, is testifying today on the Hill. He may be testifying as we speak, and I'm pointing up to the House of Representatives from our offices here. And he said he was disturbed by CNN being out there. Well, disturbed is a good way of putting it, but in the meantime, we need a real investigation as to what went on. How did CNN get access to pre-information that there be a raid here, the information that there be a raid? And it makes it look like, obviously, that the DOJ and the FBI were looking to embarrass Roger Stone and the President of the United States. And of course, that would fit in quite nicely with other abuses by the Mueller special counsel, done with the approval of the Justice Department. You had the pre-dawn raid with guns drawn on Paul Manafort. You had the outrageous raid directed at Michael Cohen, the president's personal lawyer, which was something that the Justice Department and the FBI rarely, if ever, do, even for the lawyers of criminal organizations such as the mafia and drug dealers. They just don't raid lawyers' offices. But if you're the president's lawyer, they don't care what the rules are. They'll stomp all over you. And then you had this over-the-top raid of Roger Stone, who could have obviously turned himself in. So this is pretty serious, and we're not going to forget about it. You know, this happens, it's a controversy, and the problem here in the swamp is everyone moves on to the next controversy. And there's never any investigation done substantially of the prior controversy or scandal. But Judicial Watch, you know, we're aware of what's going on currently, but we don't forget about the other scandals. And we do what we can do, given our capacities, to investigate these other scandals. So we haven't forgotten about the Roger Stone raid. In fact, we also have a lawsuit of the Cohen raid. I forget if we have a lawsuit over the Manafort raid. We probably do. I'm sure we've got Manafort FOIAs. You know, Judicial Watch is just doing the basic oversight on all of these big issues that you probably see or read about, get frustrated that they're happening, and wonder why no one's doing anything. Well, I can tell you, you should feel a little bit better, because chances are Judicial Watch is doing something about it. So I'll let you know if we hear back from the OIG about this, but certainly there needs to be something done about these leaks that further obviously are designed to destroy President Trump, but further shatter the already limited credibility of the Mueller operation.